Check. Okay. Hello everyone. We're just making a quick sound check to make sure that everything is running okay.
I would like to test a bit if I can share the screen. How could I do this? Present now? Is this? I haven't
Yeah,
played it.
Yeah.
Present now. Oh, this is nice. A window. Your entire screen. Oh, and I get to choose the monitor. This is awesome. Cute.
Yeah.
And you can also choose which window.
Yes, it's perfect. Right. So now you can see, I guess, the consoles or something, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, let me turn that off because we may need this a bit later.
Okay. All right. I think the audio is good. So hello everyone, and thank you for joining us again for our ninth episode of SIP Chronicles. We're happy to have Liviu with us, and Liviu is one of the core developers of OpenSIPS Project for how many years, Liviu?
8 years in June.
Wow. I only have 10 years date. So
8 years is a lot.
I don't even know how they flew, really. Also, thanks for having me, Maxim. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. And hello, Giovanni.
Hello. But 8 years is a lot. You see, you saw so much changes in this industry and in our technologies. 8 years ago, I can remember it was, wow. It was like totally different things. It was 2012.
Yes. I don't think I recall that many things from that period, right? Because I was just starting out. I was in my third year in college. That's where when I started. So I didn't have such a grasp on the industry, on what was going on what kind of moves each player made and whatnot. But I can say, maybe looking back a bit, that maybe things were a little bit more, I don't know, maybe more rough, maybe not so. For example, on the business side, maybe you could still, afford to get some good margins on whatever VoIP platform you were building, right, on everything. Whereas as the years went by, everything got maybe more competitive, and there was a lot of restructuring, and the landscape keeps on changing. That's as far as I can go back to.
It's
to my first years.
And it's so nice to see it from your position, because you're one of into one of the hub of from where all the spikes go out, and so as a center of gravity, as a center of attraction for all the space time around. Things comes to you, just they go down and comes to you.
This is a very nice way to look at it, Giovanni. But I don't know. You'd be amazed at how much I don't know how many things people can do on their own, right? So it's not like we have access to, or we are the center of gravity. More like we try to put a good product out there and to do our job. Like we like doing this stuff, and maybe if not all information reaches us, we're just happy to keep going.
But you're totally right. To me also, is so surprising how ingenious people is. I mean, they find
Yeah,
ways
abs-
to bend and use the things that we do, and they just realize things that I mean you never talked about. And wow.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's we basically put toys out there, right? And it's only a matter of how you play with them. So
You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Cool, cool.
Right,
So maybe tell us a little bit of story. I think at
sure.
least me and Giovanni know some of it, but or many of our Euros maybe do not. How did you get into all this, and
Sure.
how you got involved?
Absolutely. I actually was fascinated with computers ever since high school. Maybe actually earlier than that. Mm, let me go back to '95 when I was 5 years old, and my dad. I think he was running through this period where you see your peers going with the wave and doing the cool stuff, computers, right? And you think you're missing out. So what he did, he just got the computer. He just got his kids an HC 2000 computer, and that was a pretty nice one actually. Um, he also had a friend which would lend him games on tape recorders. So it was a lot of fun loading a game of chess from that tape recorder. It really took like 2 minutes or something, 3 minutes to load it. And maybe 2 out of 3 tries, it would, produce an error or something, and you would have to spin the tape back. Okay, I want to play it. So yeah, and
It's an early error correction algorithm.
so but actually, unfortunately, I would say we didn't get to really program it. Although he bought us some books, but I remember I copy pasted some program from that book, and it was supposed to build this clock, with like a limb, and it worked somehow. But I would say that really spiced up my interest from computers. From there on, I guess, when I was actually, it's even for us, for my generation, it starts to not be that big of a deal to have a computer, right? Uh, my brother was 7 at that time, and I was a bit envious of him that he would get a really cool one, right? And on that one, we basically played a lot. So this is where I'm answering the question of what's my background, and it's actually a lot of gaming, really. We we got along very well, me and my brother, because we had to share the computer, right? And we were like slicing the time, I get 2 hours, you get 2 hours, all that. Anyway, and going into high school, I slowly got interested more and learned about programming, data structures, and pretty much had made up my mind by 12th grade. That's when it all ends. That I'm going to go to high school, to a computer science university. And I guess from there onwards, um, I focused a lot on college for the first couple of years. And I'm also very thankful to having been supported by my parents during those years, financially. And from the third year, I had to get a job. It's not that I really had to, but morally I had to, right?
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
come on.
totally.
Right. And started applying. I actually went for a lot of, I considered doing gaming. I wanted to get into that, like maybe server-side programming, maybe something like that, C++. I would like to do that kind of stuff. And I applied for a couple of jobs there. while also being in discussions with Razvan. That one was a bit random because he was my teaching assistant in college. And we were out for beers celebrating that we had successfully graduated third year. And he was like, hey, we need people at OpenSIPS Solutions, would you care to join? And for me, it was like an honor. It's like, wow, I get this from Mr. Razvan.
Yes.
So I was like thrilled to do it, and for him to teach me what's going on over there. Why did he? Because in my mind, if he, being my idol, if he had gone down that route, there had to be something cool in there, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what this thing is all about, right? And 1 year passed, and then another, and then actually during those first 2 years, it's a long story. It was like a very nice project happening, and I got involved. I was involved as well, thanks to Bogdan, who wanted to give me a shot, and it turned out quite nicely. I slowly got into more and more stuff, and by the time I knew it, I was, I hope, close to being on par with Razvan, but still, you're never up to par with these guys. Like it's difficult. It's hard to keep up with them. Yeah.
Super cool story.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Also, speaking of the project and open source world, I guess that there's more than a couple of things to mention here. I kind of fell in love with this idea of producing or helping maintain the free software that is, all people can contribute to. They can collaborate and share ideas. Notice that I'm talking. I said free software, right? It's not just open software. That this is like the GNU idea, right? Stallman.
Yeah.
Stallman style. Yeah. So I really like that idea that software should be free, and just like we have the mountains, the seaside, and we have our earth. The same way we have our software, the collective thing that we build together and we collaborate on. That I think that's at least 50% of the reason why I'm still here, and I'll still be here for a good amount of time. I like this idea a lot.
I understand you perfectly, because for me it's the same. And probably for Maxim too, because if we were looking for, let's say, some other obvious things, there are so many ways to go in life, but we obviously enjoy doing something that stay with other people too.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, like thinking about all the software that we created, running in all those places that I probably will never know about, right? But just
right.
but just the whole idea that it's out there and it's doing something useful. It's pretty cool. And I'm pretty happy, glad you guys at OpenSIPS Solutions being able to make it into like reasonably long-term and successful business, I guess, and attract people and like you, Liviu, and others. Cool.
I know that Liviu has also a presentation. Not slides, but he has something to tell us about.
No, actually, this is a little surprise at the end. I don't have. It's when we get to talk about security and that topic, I will show you something fun when we get to that one.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it's like it's like a 5-minute, dopamine hit. Yeah.
But
Let's
I
put it like
think we'll see your presentation pretty soon on the OpenSIPS Summit, right?
that. Right. Both of
Is it
them.
both? Oh yeah, I have to. Are you also doing involved in some of the workshops or those trainings?
No, the workshops will be done by Vlad and Razvan, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check.
Okay.
Actually, yes, I was mistaken. There's going to be Homer, Janice, CG Rates, and Vlad with his workshop on Monday. So that is after the conference. There will be a day of workshops and a day of training.
Yeah.
Not sure if right that one, because it was a little bit of a short notice. As I remember, the initial email, the conference was set to end on Friday, but given that there were so many people submitting presentations and we really couldn't afford to allocate more than 3 hours per day because of the time zone difference and that kind of problems, not wanting to keep people up for too long or make them wake up early. You know, who watches OpenSIPS at 6 a.m. or something? So
yeah. But I mean, it's always,
so
you can always watch it later.
Back from the disco and straight into OpenSIPS.
So that's why we added these extra couple of days just to fit everything nicely.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you heard, but Giovanni is helping me a little bit here. But I hope also do a little bit of interoperability testing, get OpenSIPS, maybe FreeSwitch, and also spoke to Dractio guy. He also interested in Java. Bogdan also suggested. He might contact Zoiper.
That would be nice too. Yeah.
I'll see it. We kind of just 0 versions, pretty much.
Yeah,
but
I didn't have the pleasure to attend any of the previous. What was it called? SIP interoperability testing. SIP IT.
Yeah. SIP IT.
Yeah. But from what I've heard, that they were pretty fun.
Yeah. And they always choose very nice locations. Also, because I think that there is some important corporate baking, so they go into very nice spot like Costa d'Azur in France.
Wow.
And things like that.
Nice. Right. So yeah, from what I saw from the pictures, there seem to be a lot of people, and for sure you're going to find someone to test maybe your specific SIP thing with. Because coming from my side, for example, I would like to test the push notification RFC with someone, right? But I don't know who brings the RFC 8599 UAC to this event. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably Google Firebase.
Well, if maybe
that would be awesome. It would be awesome. Yeah.
Send me the number of the RFC. We would put it definitely and see if somebody is.
Sure, 8599. Or you wanted me to give it to you afterwards?
Yeah, just send me a quick email.
Sure. I'll do that.
I still Liviu, continuing your academic career, or are you just moved to the industry? I believe we discussed it on some time ago.
This is a fun question. I actually was set to pursue the master's degree, right? After, by the way, I graduated on the first shot. So I'm happy that one went well. But as far as the master degree went, I went for some for actually the coolest one that was I mean the one that Rezvan went to as well from our university. But the difference between me and Rezvan is that he completed it while I dropped out. so it was actually during the first semester. I was doing a lot of work, right? I was full time at the OpenSIPS team, and I was really neglecting everything on that master's. I was barely doing my homework, all of that. And the funny thing is that during the exam session, I passed everything, but with 5 and 6 grade, right, out of 10. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to drag this thing along since I'm barely learning anything, and just to get the paper at the end, right? And I didn't. I dropped it. Yeah. So that was it. But there's definitely there would have been some cool stuff to be learned over there as well, I guess. But you know, sometimes you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it comes to. Yes.
Or maybe if your name is Rezvan, you can do everything at the same time, no problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all about priorities, I suppose, and different people.
Right. For sure.
Have priority to different things, and
for sure.
Yes,
I'm not the best multitasker, although I am learning on that skill. Yeah.
Cool. So where do you see like OpenSIPS and whole industry going?
Oh, I guess we could spend a few minutes. What happened with Giovanni? Shall we wait for him, or?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. I guess we could spend a few minutes on the Jonathan Rosenberg speech, right? So if we're to talk about that one, and by this, for all our viewers, I'm referring to his unveiling at the 2019 KubeCon of the fact that they are working on this new protocol that is HTTP 3 based, which is going to work over UDP, and they are drafting the specs so they can also push the RTP as payload to these HTTP messages. So if they're going to get that up and running, I guess OpenSIPS will be as useful as, I don't know. It's a sad future, right? But luckily for us, we haven't heard any updates on that side, and I guess we'll have to see how that thing is shaping up. But I don't know if you guys have any more comments on this. Maybe my view is a bit limited, and I'm just making fun of it.
Both me and Giovanni are pretty on the same page on this. But
yeah, there is also. I mean, you always have to think about from one side. You can have pretty cool technology, and then in theory. And then you have hysteresis from industry. And also, you have huge investments in whole worlds about what was the normal world of telecommunication from one side. From another side, what also is interesting is that most part of the internet is not so tailored to do this jump and change from TCP to UDP and quick.
Right.
So yeah, you also must think at all the switches, routers, etc., etc. But Maxim, I think, has much more to say about these parts.
Yeah, I think there might be a little bit of bias. I mean, if you're Google or something big and all you have is a browser, right? Which pretty much computer in itself these days. So every solution in the world to every problem would look like HTTP or some derivative of. But in reality, there are several problems with that approach. So, for example, you're trading off latency of pretty much everything because you now have all those layers upon each other. I was, for example, looking at DTLS in particular. Before you basically can exchange your real-time packets, you need to go like 6 times back and forth just to negotiate everything. And this trend kind of continues with the other protocols. If you look at SIP over TLS, it also horrible latency, like and it's a very important consideration, especially now that we have looking a little bit further down the road. We kind of set to think that we can go from one system to another at 100 milliseconds stop, to hundreds milliseconds RTT because the Earth has certain size. But now that we kind of expanding further, we will have somehow to fit those protocols to work over much bigger distances. And you cannot really afford like latency like this anymore in many cases. But we'll see. Obviously, nobody knows. It might go one way, it might go another way.
Right, and speaking, maybe there are some other angles. So you originally asked, where are we heading? Where is OpenSIPS heading, right? I could share, I guess, a few words about how we are doing, but I'm not sure if, without wanting to, it's a bit of a change of topic. So yeah, I'm not.
Absolutely. We're not set to kind of to discuss like every last bit of this part.
Right, because personally, I don't have that big of a view over how things are going, right? Because who can answer these questions? Maybe the big players, the C-level guys. They know where things are going. Yeah. From
well, it might change in like 10 years. I mean, after you spend a certain number of time with the industry, maybe you will be able to see a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, nobody knows because it's a future; it's not defined. But at least you can have some hypothesis or something. Anyway, go ahead with your topic.
Right. So as far as the OpenSIPS project is concerned, we're planning on taking things or taking a bit more careful steps. And in this regard, I'm not sure if you've noticed the recent trend that we've been having over the last maybe 2 or 3 years. Have you noticed anything, or with regards to development?
You're going to be a PBX.
Okay, that is one way of looking at it. But no, I was just going to say that we're pushing a lot of stuff. Like with each release, we're reinventing ourselves, right? Okay, let's find a theme and let's develop everything around it, and so we make it to the next release. And we've been doing that for like 3 years now, and I wouldn't want to say that we've added too much instability, because 3.1 is an awesome release, and it's pretty much going well for us so far with using it. But there is often the case of a new release being made in, let's say, May, and maybe people barely starting to use it maybe late October or November, because they're waiting for these months before they have a little bit of a guarantee that it's stable. Exactly. So with this in mind, we've thought that maybe a better idea would be to push like these big volume changes or any such changes that we have piled up. Maybe it's a better idea to push them every 2 years, and keep the little features, maybe like maybe the RFC 87060 that we may talk about later today, and the little stuff, in all sorts of feature requests from people or that kind of things. We can push those yearly, no problem. While also focusing to improve stability. So in an odd year, we would have that big push of features and make an odd number release, like 3.1, 3.3, 3.5. And in an even number year, we would just make like a stability release or a more safer release, so people can install it right away, and it's going to be an LTS. So all the all the even numbered releases are going to be LTSs, and that's what's in plan for this year, or for 2020, leading up to May 2021. We are basically just going to stabilize 3.1, which was an LTS, because the initial so we kind of broke the numbering here, because we made an odd number, we made it an LTS. But we had to, because the initial release from the 3.x branch being 3.0, we just couldn't make it an LTS. So we are going to fix that during the next release, and how other than to also make it an LTS. So we're going to have 3.1 and 3.2 both being LTSs. So wow. That's kind of the plan for the upcoming year. And this way, maybe we'll find, we definitely will find more time to pour into testing and making things more stable and more automated.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking for that. And actually, I don't think you were included on that message, but maybe I'll forward it to you after this. I kind of offered some help on setting up. Just functional testing on Travis. Cool. Well. I guess you guys are going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, it definitely takes a different type of mindset to engineer and orchestrate all the testing around such a project. Yeah, it's because truth be told, as far as system testing goes, we are using kind of a each developer does their own testing kind of thing, right? We haven't pushed yet this unified framework for everyone to contribute and contribute tests to. What we have done, however, I'm not sure if you've noticed, and I've also done a very poor job at documenting it, is the unit testing framework that we have in OpenSIPS.
Do you have it running somewhere? Is it on Travis?
No. I have to write the glue code to run it automated, but it shouldn't be a problem. Basically, you can write unit tests for both the core of OpenSIPS and within each module. You can write code that runs when you run make test. If you do a make test, you can run that code from each module. So that would be, that's a good point. A definite next step would be to automate that.
Yeah, it's I think it don't expect it to be like one time. It's probably going to be a long-term project that you guys
absolutely
will
yes
to develop and build.
That's why we are realizing the same thing, and setting some time aside, because I can already foresee a lot of meetings, where the tense meetings, the nerves are high, and one of us wants to do it this way, the other one wants to do it that way, the developer conversations. So there's going to be a lot of that going into the testing framework.
Okay. Well, any other topics we wanted to cover before we go into technical details?
I don't know. As far as the OpenSIPS updates, I guess this is it. Any further details about what we've been up to in 2019 can be, and a little bit of 2020 can be found during the conference within a couple weeks. There will be lots of great presentations on what's in 3.1.
Yeah, so guys and girls, please join us for the conference. Have you been doing any talks recently, Liviu?
Talks like ClueCon
like
Weekly,
online,
or what kind of
like conferences.
Not at all. I was actually I realized that I'm, how do you say, I may have been out of shape, but I'm happy with how I'm doing. I guess I might have been. I think I'm doing a bit of and I'm not sure how to say it. But apart from that, I think I'm doing good.
But what about, I just discovered today, because I was browsing the internet, and I saw that OEJ is speaking at that TADAC. What is that one? Generally speaking, I don't know nothing about it, and it's not a conference. What is?
Sure. Let me park your question for 1 second. I'm not sure, Max, you were actually asking whether I am attending any conference or the project. Sorry.
No,
me personally. Okay, so I answered fine, because Bogdan has submitted that him and Razvan have been pretty busy lately. They were at ClueCon. They did the TAD Summit as well, I think, I'm not sure. That's what it's called.
Yes,
TAD Hack.
I think it was pre-recorded presentation. I watched
exactly.
and the threads.
Right. So it's a compilation of VoIP presentations, and I guess they all get uploaded daily or something like that, or throughout the week, and there you go. You can watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, it was also, pretty interesting presentations there.
Right. Also, Alan Quayle, who's organizing the whole thing, he's doing a lot of interesting things, like doing surveys and getting a grasp for how the industry is looking.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Uh-huh. So it's always the central point of interest. Well, how does the survey look? Okay, a new year. Okay, let's see the survey. Do you guys know about speaking of surveys? And I assume you use Stack Overflow a lot. How do you not look browse the survey each year? It's a developer survey. I find it pretty cool.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, because they give you all kinds of nice statistics, like what language is going up in trends, how are I don't know, machine learning programmers paid nowadays, or all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of cool data. How many women are in programming? Growing trend. Yay. And,
yeah. So what's your take on machine learning and all that stuff? Do you feel a little bit jealous, like sometimes?
Actually, no. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because I find it that working with that much, math and numbers and decimal places, it for me at least, it has to be depressing. Because you configure these machine learning models, right? You tweak the parameters, and then you plug in the learning, what they call it, training set, right? You train them, and what you end up with is something that you have no idea how it works anymore, right? It's like I get this network, and it works somehow through some magic. So that it's I wouldn't like to work with those kind of things. But again, this is maybe my ignorant opinion. So
yeah. Well, I think the main goal of those people is to make sure it works better than it's
right. I mean,
so there is always you probably at some point you start understanding how to make it better.
For sure. Mm-hmm. How to tweak it better. Yes. What's that called? Overfitting or something like that. I know of a few of the terms. Yeah, when it's overtrained or something like that. But
well, it would be interesting to see some first applications for that. I think at least for the natural language processing, right? It does pretty good job recognizing. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the recent presentations by Dave Horton. He basically does pretty cool stuff, sending calls to those automated Google systems and have them recognize what is being said and trigger different actions and all that stuff. So it's at some point you guys might have some modules
wow
to do that. Or at least there are some possibility already to do it.
Yes, you use an API for that.
Yeah, exactly. So you treat it as a black box of some sort. So.
Yeah, the smart people. Yeah, sure.
But it definitely has direct interface to what we develop, right? So at some point we need to integrate with that.
Absolutely. You also see all these integrations with Google Dialogflow popping up left and right. There is a little bit of machine learning going on in there as well, right?
Yes. I think it kind of. I think the way it works, it tries to figure out what you want to do.
What you're saying,
yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's always fascinating when I see demos with Dialogflow. ClueCon or wherever they're doing it. cool stuff.
Speaking of modules, one of the kind of weird ideas or maybe suggestions, looking at the OpenSIPS and how big a set of modules is, maybe you guys need to kind of at least start thinking of letting people have modules outside of the tree and maintain them, because I would realize it's very, very difficult for somebody to maintain the module, and it basically adds complexity for you guys to integrate changes and back and forth. Have you thought about this, or?
I think I understood what you want to do, but I'm not sure how that would simplify our task. For example, let me give you an example just to validate I got the question right. Let's say we do this thing, right? And we let people maintain their own modules and just try to be as compatible with them as possible, right? Let's try not to break their stuff. At some point, I guess this is all that it boils down to. When you have to make a backwards incompatible change, what are you going to do about it? Do you? I guess
like
you know what?
It's library.
Yeah,
like
you do it. And also you do it on the development branch, and everything will just go into the next release. And if they want to keep their module compatible with the latest release, they just have to bring it up to date. So I don't see any issues with that. But at the same time, I don't see any problems with them simply making a pull request and pulling in their changes so their module is compatible with the latest one. Although I see it's better. Now I see your point, because in this version where we keep things here in this project, we have, anytime we make that backwards incompatible change, we have to change their code as well. Otherwise, we break Travis. Right.
This as well. So it kind of taxes a little bit on you. I don't know. Giovanni probably is more has more. I think FreeSwitch has this, right? Giovanni, they allow.
FreeSwitch tend to be, with many modules, and some modules has been pretty definitely maintained by someone that is outside of the core development team. And yes, you have two parts on this. From one side, the core devs and today SignalWire has to do all, let's say, the heavy lifting. And when you change an API, you grab through all the source code, you find the parts, and you upgrade all the modules to follow the new API. But then, and this is something that is done on an ongoing basis. And I think to that a little bit like all the people that runs bot on the Wikipedia. So to enforce a new format, to check adherence to some standards and things like that. Then for all that is new features or important complex bug fixing, etc., is the module maintainer that they care about. For example, this is maybe the most famous, let's say, module that had this kind of history is the call center module in FreeSwitch that was developed by Marc Chouinard. That's a Canadian guy, a very nice guy, and he developed as its own answer to its own needs. And then it donated to FreeSwitch and is stuck with FreeSwitch. And it worked well, but was not following the pattern and the general approach of all the other modules in FreeSwitch. So in a way, if you read the official documentation of FreeSwitch, the mod call center is not so pushed on the foreground, and the official answer for queuing and those kind of things is mod FIFO that was written by the core developer and follow all the FreeSwitch standards and patterns. So in a way, you are always sure that all the general approaches of FreeSwitch works transparently with mod FIFO for queuing, etc. But from the other side, mod call center was developed with a lot of unique features into it. Maybe you can say also too much. And so there is this kind of things that you have one module that is more basic, but very, very robust and very, let's say, well-known behavior. While on the other side, you have a module that has much more features, but that behave a little bit different than all the other patterns, and you know all its, you need to know all its quirks because are specific of its own and are not same like in the rest. And also then Marc left, let's say, the VoIP world, and I believe he's doing a totally different job right now. And so the module was then adopted, let's call it adopted, by Italo Rossi and his own company in South America, Brazil. And so it's very well maintained, it works very well, etc. But still is not, it doesn't work as you have a pattern for all the rest of FreeSwitch. Is a little bit on its own as for a pattern. But a lot of people use it, like it, and so there is no meaning into retiring it. So this is the kind of compromises that you have with a big project, and I mean there are pluses and minuses, but I mean you can obviously build the same features that the mod call center has, starting from mod FIFO, but mod call center is ready-made. So it always depends on what is your approach to things.
Okay. Well, I was thinking I was talking about a little bit different, Giovanni. Based on I watched a presentation by ex-Vonage guy. Just escapes the name. It was before your presentation on on the clip on
Dave.
Yes, on how
Dave.
to build a module. Was a very good presentation. Yeah, I like it a lot.
And one thing that Norm mentioned, Norm Bredinger.
Norman Brandinger.
And one thing that he said that in FreeSwitch you can build your module outside of the FreeSwitch tree, so you basically don't need to include it as part of the.
Yes, definitely, because all modules are DLL, so you just use the include files, and that's it. I mean, the interface between modules and the FreeSwitch core is totally defined, and so you can blindly work on a module without at all taking care of other modules or other part of sources. And by the way, it's for this that you can build, your own behavior inside the module, because all you have to respect is that it interact with the core in a clean way, and that's very easy because that's enforced by the API, and the core is a black box that you cannot touch. So that's it. And yes, Norma has made a great presentation, and it was so much a pleasure for me to follow through it, because in the time past I developed a couple of modules, and I would have liked so much to have read or listened to such a presentation, because it was so complete and beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked it too. I never developed a FreeSwitch module yet, so I'm not like Giovanni, but it was a good presentation. And it's just something I saw them. Probably OpenSIPS could have something like this as well, because what for example happens with us at least few times is that we start using certain module, like in certain version of OpenSIPS, like I don't know, 2.3 for example, or even earlier, and we build it up and we kind of rely on it behaving the same way, and then we need to upgrade, and the module is now different. It behaves completely different. And sometimes we just don't really. It's not core functionality. It's just something that helps us to do stuff, and we could just. Usually, we just patch it up to look like the old one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For the most part. Sorry, if you finish your idea, I'll write it down.
I just heard. I heard some other people having similar grief, I would say, with some of the modules. They kind of liked the behavior like before, and now it's different behavior, and
Right. So. For the most part, we try to keep things as backwards compatible as possible, but sometimes you have to make things happen. For example, in 3.0, we changed the MI communication to be let's just talk about the HTTP requests. The MI layer now accepts or actually mandates post instead of get. So because that's how JSON RPC works. So of course now you can say, fine, but my application doesn't work anymore because I migrated to OpenSIPS 3.0 and it's telling me unrecognized method get or something like that. But it's just the way to move forward. So Well, I would be very interested for you to drop me a line and tell me just a few examples of modules that you have to patch up now because there is some of the old functionality that you're missing and
Yeah,
you want.
it's not very advanced. I could say. Let's say we have we really like the dispatcher module where it's all fixed. And now it's all database driven, and for our particular application, we're not. It's all pretty much from configuration, so we don't need this database layer, right, to configure. So, but as I said, it's more general point of people like there are at least several useful cases you can have by allowing people to have their own module, that is not tied up to the whole whole thing. And it also could be beneficial, probably in terms of saving a little bit of time, as you said, on the project side. So you don't have to include everything like in kitchen sink. I believe at least several projects if you look, let's say for example at the good long-term projects that we all know, like say PHP, right? They have PHP core, and then they have all those modules that are usually packaged separately, and you can say, oh, just need this module and not that module. And it also more, I would say, friendly for the package maintainers, probably, because right now, let's say you're maintaining OpenSIPS on FreeBSD or some other Linux distribution. You'll basically need to include pretty much everything. Like you need to Postgres and MySQL and this and that. So it basically becomes this monstrous package which pulls all this stuff.
In our defense, all of these, or the majority of modules which require this and that shared library, they are packaged into their own package. So there are less things breaking, I guess, or there's less to maintain if you want to support just a subset of modules on a certain Linux distribution.
Okay. But what I'm saying is future directions and improvements. Maybe.
Yeah, your idea definitely makes sense with the kind of this secondary package repository, right? But right, and there would definitely have to be a separate maintainer for that project as well. Or would we maintain that one ourselves, or how do you? Wouldn't be, or if we don't find a person that offers to maintain this project, wouldn't we be doing the same thing anyway? Right?
Yeah.
So I guess it all boils down to how many people want to maintain how much code, right? The people to code assignment problem. Yeah. Maintenance. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at some point, I guess it will probably happen, because you cannot really add keep adding those modules. At some point you will get there's so many of them. We need to spill them to some separate project or separate things, and people who don't need those extra things don't have them. Anyway, this is just some ramble on unrelated topic.
But it's nice idea.
All right. Well, I guess we're about an hour in. Let's maybe get to that discussion about RFC.
Sure. 8760.
Okay, we can just put it. So what's your take on it?
My take is that it would definitely take Giovanni a lot less than 15 minutes to read it. Maybe at most 5. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I had a look at it. Yeah, it's not
So yeah, it basically just adds support for a couple more message digest algorithms. So not just MD5, but also the secure hash 256 and 512. 512, but truncated to 256. So they both algorithms produce the same length hashes.
Okay.
So, that's it. Although there is there are a couple of nuances. For example, it says that if you're implementing this RFC, either if you're an UAS or a UAC, you have to put the QOP. I'm not sure if I'm going too into detail. The QOP challenge parameter, you have to include it either in your challenge if you're the server, or in your authentication header if you're the client. So, right, the QOP.
Okay. Well, no, that's
mandatory.
actually a good point, because I totally missed that part in my reading. Must send, blah blah blah. Okay, so
but it's anyway. It's still a bit of. I'm not sure how to find a good word. It's still a bit of bullshit, because RFC 3261 clients still have it optional. So if you're implementing a server that supports this new RFC, the 8760, you still have to accept UACs that don't send the QOP. So it's kind of this never-ending problem of ensuring backwards compatibility, right? That you still have to, right? You're building a proxy that, so I guess it makes sense. You're building a proxy that mandates it, but on the input side, it allows all kinds of crap, because you have to be, I think even the RFC says this thing. On the inside, you're very tolerant. You allow anything, right? You tolerate as much crap as possible, while on the outgoing side, you normalize everything and you shape the traffic to be RFC grade. Yeah. So I guess it's no different here as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. By the way, thank you again. I totally missed this QOP thing. So essentially, right now, I think OpenSIPS is pretty simplistic, right? You don't put like those QOP or anything.
Right. By default, we don't put it, but there is support for both the simple QOP with just authentication or whatever it's called, QOP auth, and there's support, I think, for like a year now, Vlad, that is support for authentication and integrity of the body. So that is the auth-int token. If any of you or the viewers are not familiar with this one, it basically means that if the digest authentication works, if the server computes the same value that the client sent, it means that also the body of the message is unchanged. So it's a further validation over to the body as well. The SDP, whatever useful things are in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I definitely, I think I saw that code. So I was a little bit curious how it works, and that's good. Good that I brought it up. So on the practical side of things, I mean, I already started talking to you, I guess, before we started on YouTube. But basically, what we will see as a requirement for our scenario, for example, is some kind of selective enablement, because the way RFC is phrased, you can send all those challenges, right?
Yes.
To your UA client, but
Right.
if it just ignores those algorithms, so let's say you only want to have SHA this and SHA this, but no MD5, you send this challenge to somebody, but then they just ignore it for this part completely, right?
Exactly.
And they send you back MD5 response.
By the way, can I make a quick pause to interrupt you on? I noticed you're writing SHA-512 in there, but that is it's the bad token, right? Because it's 512-256.
Yeah, it's
okay.
it's work in progress. I just mocking up things up.
right. Right. So you were saying that absolutely the client can ignore any of your challenges. So it will if we're a bad attacker, or what scenario are we talking about? The one in which I guess if you have old phones, they're just going to be old phones for life, and you can't upgrade them.
But Liviu, more on our end, more kind of enterprise side of things. Let's say you're switching a lot of traffic to different vendors and different other companies. You basically at some point you might say, "Oh, okay, we want to switch you guys to from MD5 to something better. So let us disable this MD5 stupid thing." And those other guys say, "Oh yeah, all our equipment is ready. We're totally up for this." So you disable it. Start saying how you make sure that it's actually disabled, right? So you need some kind of way to ensure that whatever your UA server is offering is what you're actually accepting. So you should reject technically if somebody you only send those two, but somebody comes back with valid MD5.
MD5, yeah. So in this scenario, you would like to still support some MD5 clients that are still behind, or you would like to let them not register anymore?
Oh, it's more about I think you're talking about registration. I'm thinking more about in terms of
sorry, anyway, calls.
Invites. Yeah.
It's the same thing, Max. Yeah.
Yes,
no?
I guess so. You just reject invite, right? If it's,
yeah, right. You reject the invite.
Yeah. You reject registration. But we're mostly dealing with invites. But everything obviously the same. So we probably need some kind of way whenever you. Right now we have we challenge, right, function in OpenSIPS.
Yes, right.
To generate this. So it should probably take some kind of new flag saying I want to challenge like this and that, but not this, or all of them by default maybe, or maybe default would be just MD5 for the time being, right? Because who knows? So some UAs could just go crazy.
Oh yes. So you just to put this to make sure we're going on the same wavelength, we are talking about including multiple www authenticate headers, right? We have no problems with that.
No problems. Yes.
Okay, because this is what I was saying. I followed along with some of your discussion on that thread, and you were saying that maybe even this may be a problem. Because maybe some clients, they don't support such things. When you send them the challenge and they see 3 challenges, they, yeah.
Well, it's yet to be seen. I guess it's a little bit degenerate case, right? But we don't know, right? At this moment.
So this is, I guess I would say we make it a default to send 3 challenges, right? Or yeah, well, this is a bit weird. Yeah, they added 2 new algorithms, so that means 2 new headers. I'm not sure why they couldn't put like a comma or something, but I guess you don't know which is which, so it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so the default will be SHA-256 and then 512, and the last header is the MD5.
Mm-hmm.
And
is the ordering matter? I did not read that.
Yes, the order. I mean, you know, like all RFC wording, it's with should. So the UA should pick the first one in the list, but
maybe one safe way can be to make MD5 fallback. So if it's not explicitly forbidden, then if nothing else, go with MD5.
Yeah, but that's what will happen essentially. By default, for example, OpenSIPS will generate those 3 headers, and if device don't really implement algorithm, it would basically just ignore this all.
The first 2.
Everything from here to there, and will reply to this, which to the OpenSIPS will look pretty fine because MD5
it's not explicitly forbidden because maybe you want to refuse MD5.
Yeah. But then that probably is good default, right? But then there is also potential. I don't know how possible it is. Some people might not even want this because it obviously has impact on the size of the message, right? So you're going from something compact like this. Well, it's actually even more compact because this is a new nonce. Actual current nonce is probably something like this. So you're expanding probably another I don't know 200 bytes easily, adding to your message, and some people might not really want it, especially if they know they're like 100% of their clients are not going to use it anyway. So I would say, yeah, whatever, we'll just stick with the current behavior. So yeah, I guess we probably need some flag to go back to the. Thank you for it. To the old one. Okay, so that's an interesting observation. But then on that, now going to the nonce generation, Giovanni said he is not going to be very useful. But at least, how about your Liviu?
I will try to absorb your darkness by osmosis.
Maxim, I looked at the code, Maxim. So
okay.
I know the code now. Yeah.
Okay. But what do you think about what I drafted for the?
Okay, I'm going to split into at least a couple of ideas. So the first idea that I suggest we discuss is, what do we feel about the current nonce generation algorithm or engine or whatever we want to call it? And although, as you well pointed out, the server, or no, the current time of the server is leaked into the nonce in plain text for everyone to see. Although this kind of sucks, there is also a good part to it, in the sense that it performs a validity check on the nonce as it is sent by the client. So this is before computing the nonce and comparing it with the result, right? The response.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, I can.
It's also checking the integrity of the nonce itself. And
yeah, I can probably give you a little bit of background. I think
Sure.
you probably did not. Yeah, you were not around, right? SIP at the
Yep.
time when it was implemented.
That's
But
implemented.
yeah, just give me a second. I try to
Sure.
bring the diagram on the screen, so
Sure.
it's more easier to say what I'm talking about. It's too many online applications.
That code was actually developed in 2007. I looked at the history a bit.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Drive.
Or maybe not all of it.
Yeah, I think it may be even earlier.
Maybe
than
even
that.
earlier. Yeah, right. Because it's a bit late, 2007. Yeah.
Okay, I got the diagram. Let me just share my. So what this algorithm attempts to do, it tries to protect you from what is known as replay attack. So let's see our kind of integration between US and UAC. You generate nonce, you send it to the other party hashes in the password or some other secret and sends back you the hash which you validate. And that's fine and dandy until you kind of realize that you also might have some bad guy essentially sniffing your communication and your exchange of that between you and the other end. And then what will happen? He will be basically able to replay the previously recorded response to you, and you will not be able to tell the difference because you'll have the nonce and you calculate the same. Assuming the password did not change. Basically.
Can I stop you here a bit?
Yeah.
There is protection against this. I found it pretty interesting that or how the design shaped over the time, because the RFC has protection, or there are more RFCs. Let me clarify which one. I think it's 2617. It's the second digest authentication RFC, the one which updates 2609. And in 2617, we can see that there is this the quality of protection. That is what protects you against replay attacks. And unless you use the auth, right? Unless you use QOP equals auth, the client's nonce and its counter. I'm not sure if I'm going too deep into this. There is a C nonce and a nonce count. Do you know those two? Yes. So those two don't get factored into the computation, and that opens the door for replay attacks. So if there is no QOP, you can replay it. And here is the interesting part, and this is, by the way, something to love about open source and cool solutions. OpenSIPS, actually, the OpenSIPS developers or whoever wrote that code, they said, okay, so the RFC's basic level of protection doesn't ensure protection against replay attacks. So but UACs are going to not be sending QoP equals auth. So they are for sure setting themselves up or setting ourselves up as a platform for being exploited by replay attacks. So let's build that protection, even though the RFC clearly says, okay, if you want replay attack protection, just go ahead and give me the client nonce and the counter so I can so I have something to work with, so I can protect you. Right. So there is code for that. This is what I was trying to tell you.
Oh yeah,
in the auth module, yes, I'm not sure what it's called, nonce reusage, and it basically takes this huge array of bits. So each nonce is a bit in this array, and it's flagged either as 1 or 0 if it has been used recently. And I'm not sure. There is some logic in there that automatically detects if you send a new invite with the same, you copy paste the authentication header. And if you do that kind of crap, it'll just give you, I'm not sure, stale equals true. Stale equals true.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I guess then it's the RFC had some protection, but it was not really usable because nobody supported it, or maybe it was too complicated. Who knows? Nobody knows now, I guess.
Exactly.
But now that we have current algorithm, and I think it's pretty much default one, right? As long as my reading of the code correct, which is basically embeds the timestamp within the nonce, right? In this very unscientific way, I would say. And then it uses MD5 to protect it by hashing it and appending the result. So you basically have MD5 protecting the validity of that timestamp.
The integrity.
Integrity, yes, exactly.
Yes.
And then so you can use this timestamp whenever it comes back. You can say, "Oh, this is a good timestamp, and I should compare it with the current time." And if it's been less than 30 seconds, I think in the default, we will let it go through.
Yeah. My final verdict for how the code is currently working, it's not bad.
Okay,
I don't know.
But essentially it means that I don't know. I haven't really checked the size of this random secret. I hope it at least 16
I know.
bytes.
I can tell you. I did my homework. It's 32 bytes, and the possible values. So it has 64 possible values on each byte. So that's 64 to the power of 32, which is a bigger number than we even want to imagine. So it's a lot of data.
It's not 34 actually. Well, anyway, we won't want to count the bits, but the bottom line that we cannot probably break it unless we.
No, Maxim, it's 32 bytes, not bits. It's really characters, 32 characters.
No, I get it. But what you're saying, you have 6 bits per character. So
6.
Well, 64 is 6 bits.
Yes, 6 bits. Yes, you are correct here.
Actually,
you know why? I know why. They just wanted it to be a plain text secret, right? No crappy bytes like \1 or \7. Let's just make it from 32 to, or I don't know, from 95 to whatever they made it. Yeah, the ASCII.
That's how it works. And my point here is that first it leaks the timeout, which is not good. And you cannot really avoid it within this scheme because you cannot kind of go back from MD5 to actual value, right? So the whole point of MD5 is that
Yes.
it's only one way. So that is kind of bad. And MD5, it's kind of weird, right? Now, if we're talking about implementing better algorithm for authentication, we should also look at whatever algorithms are used for the
Generation.
generation,
Yeah.
because while you still need to capture this nonce somehow, it might not be that difficult, I suppose, compared to breaking it. Anyway, so what I was just drafting up is something that we can use some of the more advanced cipher to actually embed it into the nonce without making it possible for somebody to see it or tamper it. And do you have any comments or any questions maybe?
I actually haven't put any thought into this, but I like your idea of using symmetric encryption to give an encrypted nonce to the client, and only the OpenSIPS server knows what's inside. Maybe even get back some information with regards to what algorithm it showed the client. So that is pretty cool. I like those 3 bits with algorithms. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the use case here. Well, first, as I said, it would be really nice if we could reject the traffic, so we could know which algorithms are enabled. But then also, let's say you're sending somebody this only strong algorithms are enabled on your server, and somebody knows that he could not break like strong algorithm, but he could break like weak one. So he basically just hijacks it and send you back MD5 instead, and basically goes through. So I mean, if we put it in this way inside it, we could always check it without much problem on the OpenSIPS side. Okay. Well, after that, I also got some interest from our I don't know if you know him, Liviu, Ole Johansson.
From the mailing lists and Twitter, but I'm not sure he knows me in person.
Okay. But he basically, Giovanni, he got back to me after me tweeting him about this, and suggested we have some kind of conference call in the next few days to talk about this. So hopefully he would be able to give me more
that would be very good.
You'll get some feedback on this design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess it's good to sync it up. As I said, I'm working on some prototype implementation, and thanks Liviu, already spotted some of the missing parts, and yeah, it was already useful.
Sure.
And I hope I'll get something like prototype maybe next week, and we can start putting something together.
That is awesome, but yeah, beware that you're going to have to write the client as well.
I was curious if I have some question. Is it possible to make OpenSIPS to emit registration?
Yes.
Okay. What module do you use for that?
It's a module. Let me make sure I don't get this wrong. So there are two. I think there are two kind of useful modules here. First, you have the one that registers automatically. That one is useful. Maybe let's say you want to route some traffic, or you want to integrate with some carrier, and they require your OpenSIPS to register to them before you can push traffic to them. And that is solved using Ovidiu's module. It's called UAC registrant. Let me see if I got it right. UAC registrant, right? And then there's also a module that allows you to build the authentication header. So when you are given a challenge, you act as a client and you build a header and compute the response of the digest authentication, just as other clients are computing the response when you challenge them. So that is the UAC auth. I hope I get this right. UAC auth. I think that is the one.
Okay, cool. Definitely will check those out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I basically plan to get to create a little test case for this scenarios, and then we can plug OpenSIPS into it and see how it works, and if everything goes correctly. There are also probably some database changes that you guys will need to do around authentication, right? Because right now I believe you are storing SHA-1, right?
One, and some sort of funny hash that is a very useful from a practical point of view, and the original developers called it SHA-1B. What that means is that you so many times get bad traffic, shitty traffic, that they say in the authentication username, instead of putting Giovanni, right? That's your username. They put Giovanni at opentelecom.it, right? They write the whole damn thing as the username. And for that, the solution is to not open so many tickets. Authentication is failing. What to do? Fix your client, Okay, we fix it for you. We compute this SHA-1B hash.
Wow.
And yeah.
Well, this means now you guys have to store what, like 6 hashes? Because now you will need to store this different hash now, right? You realize it?
Yeah, it could be.
In order
I
to
haven't thought of it.
somebody, in order for somebody to authenticate with SH-256, you will have to compute different hash. So it will be SHA-1
it's 6 hashes now. So what? Who cares? It's just a table.
Okay.
Yeah. Being compatible with all those shitty clients is what matters at the end of the day, guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess I have some of them here. This one actually died on me. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it stopped. I don't know, maybe just the power supply went bad, but it's kind of not lighting up anymore. All right. Okay. Well, as I said, it's very good discussion with you. At least you read through the whole scene and pointed out some of the
it was fun. Yeah.
Right. Giovanni,
we're warming the engines for OpenSIPS Distributed, and I mean, almost there now.
Yeah. Don't tell Razvan, because he still has 3 presentations.
Okay. And what about you, Giovanni? Are you doing any presentations? I missed it.
Yeah. I'll do a presentation about how to scale services using OpenSIPS and FreeSwitch, but mostly using OpenSIPS. And it's about scalability, distribution. What is, I mean, not the bleeding edge or the smartest trick, but more what is working and what is, let's say, the lessons that I learned working with that, and how to make it work easily and I mean without many problems.
That's
Awesome.
good. Nice. Well, looking forward for that too, and
Yeah.
also probably going to be pretty busy for us.
Mhm.
You're not on moderator team, are you?
Not as far as I could see.
Okay, lucky you, lucky you.
Okay.
Well, maybe Giovanni have some final remarks.
Well, I mean, as we have just seen, I mean, up to 10 minutes ago, open source telecom is going forward and forward and forward, also while we are speaking. So, I mean, our public has just seen a couple of important steps that will give birth to the implementation of the new new algorithms for making the nonce into the SIP packets that are, I mean, the foundation stone of all the security and all the authorization AAA into SIP. And we just, I was just a testimony, because I was not speaking, on how things gets implemented and how sharing ideas is working so fast when the code is open, and when people that is working on different organizations, but they are collaborating on the same code base without having to keep the code secret for all the standard and the foundational parts. And I mean, I was also a little bit honored and emotional, because I mean, in a while there will be, I don't know, billions of those new headers that will be pumped out from OpenSIPS on a minute by minute basis, all over the world. So this was a little bit of an historical episode of OpenSIPS Chronicle, and in this chronicle we saw the birth of one step of the implementation of the new norms on the new security into SIP authorization in OpenSIPS.
Awesome.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm speechless. Thanks, Giovanni. That's very sums it up very nicely, I think. And again, some big thanks to Liviu for spending some time with us and talking about his role in OpenSIPS and his dreams and maybe out of it we'll have a little bit faster implementation of that feature and something else
Perfect. So that is great. It was a pleasure to be here, guys. And I have no idea how. Well, what is it? 1 hour and 45 minutes just flew by.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Right.
Actually, we convened before the episode started, so actually it's 2 hours.
Well, you guys want to talk 50 minutes more, or you want to conclude now? Because
no. Now it's time for eating in Europe.
Perfect.
Yeah. We think we are good for today, especially considering some of us needs to work still.
Okay. Okay, guys.
And lunch as well. I hopefully have some lunch too. So
Okay.
have a good night, and I will hopefully see you, Liviu, pretty soon on OpenSIPS Summit. And yeah, you will come over someday and hang out with us some little bit more.
Sounds great. I'm down for that.
Bye.
Have a good
Ciao,
lunch,
ciao.
and have a good evening, Giovanni. Ciao, and bye to everyone else. You have a good day.
Thanks
Bye.
for watching.